Nigerians are expected to seek out the best.
Two words to describe the activity.
Nigerians are saying
Say to you on
Be the first to know.
on Core TV News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa,
presidential
we
ambition.
break the news.
The commitment of the Buhari government is to fight corruption.
Now you can catch all the actions live
I belong to everybody.
as the news breaks. We are Core TV News,
There, welcome to Core TV Primetime
our
News.
24-hour news station.
Thanks for joining us again. It's Core Digest exclusive to Core TV News. AHMED, TIJANI, Mustafa, ATM joins me on the show today. He's passionate about politics and he is a phenomenal public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for finding time to come.
Wow, that's quite an opening. The pleasure to be here is all mine.
It's all right. Let me take you on very quickly before we get into security matters. Let's talk about the National Assembly crisis. For instance, the moment they saw Tinubu's seat empty at that particular NEC meeting, the feeling and the opinion was that all isn't well yet. And it's clear on the front page of the papers this morning, Gbajabi Amila rejects Dogara's peace deal. Now, it looks as if the APC is in between the two arms of the ball. How do we compensate the former minority leader? And then how do we also talk about the zoning formula? Because the moment you give the Southwest the majority leader, it's already given to the deputy speaker of the House. And then you're going to have a big challenge. It looks as if APC has beaten more than it can chew. Would you agree?
Let me quickly just clarify something. Yes, I believe in national character, but this would not be the first time that a particular zone of this country, one of the 6 geopolitical zones, will be producing one or more of the principal officers of the House. It happened in the 6th and 7th House of Assembly, and it didn't raise any House of Representatives. Sorry, it didn't raise any red flags. So it's a bit bothering on me as a Nigerian why we're bickering on this issue so much. Yakubu Dogora has made his stance very clear, and yes, he has a legitimate right to do that, but the party has its preferred candidate, and this is not about compensating Femi Gbajabiamila, because it's not ruling the nation is not about sentiment or compensation. It's about who deserves to be where. That's what this is primarily about. It's not and people should, I think the media should stop focusing on this as the Dogora group and the Gbajabiamila group. That creates a sort of imbalance.
Isn't that what it is?
No, it's the APC. First of all, it's the APC. Yakubu Dogora is a member of the APC, and so also is Femi Gbajabiamila. You know, these are like brothers of the same mother who might necessarily not see eye to eye on the same on issues, but then that does not put them apart. They are still brothers of the same mother. All of this comes down to how the party is able to resolve its internal politics. Did the PDP have these issues? Yes, they did. Did they resolve it? Yes, they did. Has the APC had these issues? Yes, they have. Will they resolve it? Yes, they will. I'm 100% confident that in the end of the day, Nigeria will be better off for all of these squabbles.
How does all of these now affect their primary responsibility as lawmakers?
I think they've allowed this issue to drag a little longer than I expected, and it's beginning to hamper on government functions, because a lot of people are beginning to clamor now that the president has not picked his ministerial appointees and stuff like that, and this ultimately boils down to the fact that we have to wait until these issues are amicably resolved before we can progress. Can the president call them into an executive session? Yes, he can do that. That has been made clear by the Senate president. He has said categorically that if the president brings a nomination for the ministerial list today, yes, the House will resume plenary sessions, and we're hopeful that no matter what the internal politics of the APC is, it does not, and I repeat, does not affect the running of Nigerian government, because as a matter of fact, the Nigerian society is bigger than the APC. The APC is just a fraction of that, and this is not a house that is solely controlled by the APC, and I do not think that whoever, Yakubu Dogora or Femi Gbajabiamila, will want this issue to affect the way they discharge their legislative duties.
The last time I spoke to you over the phone on this issue, you told me about using the word intervention rather than using the word dabble, talking about the involvement of the presidency or Mr. President in all of this. There are many people who are saying that, of course, Mr. President already intervened. We saw the meeting, he attended the next meeting, but then it's still not resolved. Would you have rather have him being involved right from day one, rather than having what we have in our hands right now?
I clearly stated last time I was on phone on this program that the president has taken he wants to have a Midas touch, when you come in, issues are resolved, and like you said, the next meeting, the president is a member of the APC, so he has every right, even if the APC was not having these teething problems with the House of Representatives and the Senate, the president will still have been in attendance at the next meeting. So that might not necessarily be an overview of what transpired at the next meeting. Now, this goes to show that if the president comes on and intervenes in this issue, I believe that a lot of Nigerians are expecting Mr. President to just come and say, "Oh, Yakubu Dogora, take this, or Femi Abemila, take this." But he's not going to do that. These people are mature people; they are adults. They're not kids that you can boss around, So he also has to learn how to be diplomatic in his approach. He's not going to lord it over them. That's not his style. He used to be when he was a military dictator, but he's now a democratically elected president, and he has to understand that. And I think he basically understands, and that's why all of these issues seem to be dragging. There was a time when the PDP were having issues with the chairman of the party. I don't think ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, at any point decided to, by himself, say, okay, because I'm the president and I'm the number one man of the party, I hereby remove. That's not the way. The party has got to resolve. If the president goes ahead and does this and puts his foot on the ground and says, okay, this is what I want, then it means that at every time the House has issues, they will be expecting the president to give an executive order to resolve that. And that's not going to be good for the democracy that we have in our hands right now.
You read Akonde's letter. He called it a northern conspiracy against the Southwest. How do we resolve this issue? Tinubu has been silent on this issue for a while. His absence at the NEC meeting also tells a lot. Do you think that this is quite as easy as you're painting it?
No, it's not. I'm not painting an easy picture. Let me use this medium to correct a notion that I have observed in the media or social media from different Nigerians, giving people the opinion that Tinubu is one man. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is just one man. He's not. Everything about the APC does not revolve around Bola Ahmed Tinubu. People need to put that in perspective, first of all. To say that Femi Abemila is Bola Tinubu's candidate is a bit myopic. Without apologies, without reservations, I must say it's a bit myopic. My reason for that is that Femi Abemila has been minority leader of the House. He's a fourth-time member of the House, so he doesn't need to be somebody's candidate to stand the chance to run for speakership. Is he deserving of the chance to be speaker? Yes. Has he proven himself over time? Yes. Are you following my argument? No,
was there someone who was pivotal to his election and who he considers a godfather in politics?
That is left for anybody to decide. There is absolutely nobody that got to where they got to without the backing of somebody. I am on this program because you invited me here. That does not make you my godfather. I don't think so. It's a bit unfair to narrow Femi Abemila's person and his achievement down to the Bola Tinubu factor. I think it's a bit unfair to Femi Abemila. So no, I'm not. It's not about painting an easy picture, but I think that in the end, like I said, Nigerians will be better off.
All right, let's turn our attention to security very quickly. We saw for the first time Eze Kwesili at the Hassel Rock and then the Bring Back Our Girls meeting with Mr. President and his vice. Of course, Mr. President was quite careful not making any certain promise about bringing back the girls. But would you say that that's in alignment with what the promises of the APC were prior to this election? Security was number one priority on the list. Did they actually promise to bring back the girls?
Not verbatim. The president did say in his
there was
campaign,
a body language, however.
Yes. That's why I said not verbatim. There is no where you can quote the president where he said that he could bring the girls back alive. Are we hopeful that he will do that? Yes. Do we want to believe that he will do that? Yes. Now, talking about the meeting with the Bring Back Our Girls group, I think that's a monumental shift in the fight to bring back these girls. The past administration had denied this same group an opportunity to meet with them after several attempts, and for President Buhari to have granted them audience means that he's taking this issue of bringing back these girls alive, a very serious one. Has he made any promises to bring them back alive? No. Do I believe that he will bring them back? Yes, I do.
Let's turn our attention to our discussion on the show today. We're looking at renewed suicide attacks way forward for Nigeria. You recall that prior to the 2015 presidential election, President Goodluck Jonathan seemed to have achieved some level of success in the ongoing fight against insurgency. We saw a drastic reduction in the number of suicide attacks. At some point in time, they had already taken territories for themselves, hosting flags and declaring a caliphate, so to speak. But then, Buhari is back in power. And for someone who's been head of state, who seemed to also campaign with his fight against the Bitasani in the 80s, it looks as if we're getting back to those days where Boko Haram is having a field day with suicide attacks. What's your initial reaction to this?
First of all, I must, before I comment on the Boko Haram issue, I must commensurate with Nigerians in the north who have lost loved ones in this incident attack from Boko Haram. My heart, my prayers are with them. Now, on to this issue of Boko Haram. I think that you must agree with me that Boko Haram is beginning to change its face or its tactics, so to say. Right now, there are no... it's not a case where they come around and they have an army and then they just go into a particular town and then take over that town. You can fight that, but an incessant suicide bombing, it will take time. Can we fight that? Yes, we can. But it will take time. It took President Goodluck Jonathan some 6 years to achieve any measure of success against Boko Haram. I understand why Nigerians want instant success, but I think it is a bit unfair to begin to judge the current administration. It's barely 2 months old, and it's not. This is not to say that we will fold our arms and continue to watch Nigerians die, but I have ultra and unshaken confidence in the ability of this administration to fight insecurity. My reasons are this. First of all, General Buhari has why do I keep saying General? President Muhammadu Buhari has experience as a military leader. I was watching his profile in your waiting room, and I did hear the narrator say that he's an excellent strategist of war. So I believe that he will bring all of this to count in the fight against Boko Haram. Yes, I do not expect Boko Haram to thin out all of a sudden or disappear completely, but I do not expect them to be this for the attacks to continue at this rate. No, something has got to give somewhere. So
let's look at some developing issues as regards that. Just quite recently, Mr. President stopped roadblocks that were mounted, scattered across the country, and probably it's also another military strategy in the ongoing war. But there are states who are beginning to cry for a return of roadblocks, given the incessant suicide attacks that have greeted Nigeria in the past few days. Would you consider that a right step in the right direction?
To remove the roadblocks?
Yes, to remove it in the first place.
No, I do not. I do not agree with that decision from the president to remove the roadblocks. I think the roadblocks were an essential part of keeping those people in this troubled state safe. It gave them a sense of safety, having the military roadblocks, and every day you go out, you see the military roadblocks.
Let me just hold you for a minute. We're joined now by security expert Colonel Hassan Stanlambo, who joins us on the show this morning. Good morning, Colonel. Very quickly, can you tell us, based on experience and knowledge as an expert in this field, what your reaction is to the renewed suicide attacks by Boko Haram in Nigeria?
Yes, good morning, Listen. I guess you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can.
All right. And looking at these renewed suicide attacks, I guess we must first and foremost be able to visit what we may assume to be the causes. Briefly speaking, I would want to say that the loss of territories by the insurgents, must have pushed them into renewed actions through other options that may be available to them, such as suicide attacks and the rest of it. And mind you, we have a new government in place. There might be the need to test the political will of the government itself to react to the activities of the insurgents, to see how effective government itself will want to be. Thirdly, it is important to bear in mind that the recent call was writing for a truce by the insurgents by way of making us understand, look, we are ready to exchange the children girls and so on, which of course will boil down to some form of negotiations. Like in situations like this, before you begin to make such calls or to give you a good position for negotiation on the negotiating table, you have to really create an impact with all stakeholders. So I will not be surprised if the insurgents are also trying to prove a point, so that by the time they get to the negotiating table, they'll be speaking from the position of strength. These are several others, and besides, we need to see them as what I would call see the activities as part of the antics of a drowning man. A man who is drowning and trying to create as much confusion as he can, holding on to everything that could support him to ensure that he does not drown. We haven't looked at these few causes, which are not exhaustive anyway. What is the way forward for us as a team? First and foremost, I want to say that we must enhance the combat effectiveness of our military. The military is got to be more aggressive and got to create more impact. I expect to see more of air action now. I expect to see enhanced intelligence ongoing, because let's take it, if suicide attacks are option, then of course these are things that could be nipped in the bud through effective intelligence. Okay? A country that has even taken a step forward by banning the wearing of hijabs by girls. Nigeria has followed suit. What is stopping us by now from banning the wearing of hijabs? Just a temporary ban. This is a country where we often carried away by undue sentiments. You hear people now begin to talk so foolishly about how their religious rights have been impeded upon and so on, forgetting the reality on ground. And then I said to see a great deal of civil military cooperation. The report that came out for me is an indication of failure by our military or our government to carry along the communities. If you listen and read through Amnesty International's reports, you're going to ask yourself, who gave them this information? Of course, the communities. If we have been carrying the communities along, this sort of reports will be difficult to put together. Here they have photographs to back up what we are saying and so on. Even though those photographs are yet to be authenticated anyway. All right? It is important to bear all this in mind. And then, what is our president's strategy in covering all that is going on? We welcome his visits to all the neighboring countries to, of course, get their support. Because you will agree with me, terrorism and insurgency is an international war. It has an international dimension. So we don't look at it just within the ambit of the national problem alone. So we welcome his visits, we welcome his directive relocation of the NCC, and then of course his support to the victims coming out from this problem. But then, as an individual, I am expecting that by now we should be changing the hands of those who are driving the process. The leadership of the military by now should be having new hands who will come in with fresh ideas to further push all our efforts in this direction.
Let me quickly take you up on the removal of roadblocks by the presidency. Of course, at the wake of suicidal attacks in some states in Nigeria. For instance, there's a particular state calling for a return. Hello, Colonel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm asking what your thoughts are on the removal of roadblocks by the presidency.
Yes, the removal of the roadblocks. Frankly speaking, if we've got to analyze that.
I'm afraid we lost that call. We'll get back to Colonel where we can. Of course, AHMED TIJANI Mustafa is still very much in the studio. You were talking about removal of roadblock, how you do not think that is the right path to toll at this time. Would you also say that at this point in time, we also have an update from the police? For instance, the IG has directed the commencement of a special stop and search operation on roads and highways across the country. There are many who are saying it doesn't really look as if we have a direction in that light. If few days ago we stopped roadblock and now we're starting a stop and search, it looks as if it's still the same fire brigade approach that we're used to.
And that's why I originally said that I do not. I know the president has his reasons, or the presidency has its reasons for calling for the removal of roadblocks, or for ordering for the removal of roadblocks. That's something that I do not particularly am comfortable with. Like you rightly said, you remove roadblocks and then you institute a stop and search on Nigerian highways. And you know the Nigerian police. There's every tendency that this opportunity will be abused. It would end up not achieving the aims and the objective that it was set out to achieve, but it will be used as an opportunity to harass law-abiding citizens of this country. You know, these people are going to take this as an opportunity to exploit ordinary Nigerians. You know, so I particularly am not comfortable with the decision by the presidency to have roadblocks removed, particularly in the northeastern part of the country. I'm still at loss as to why that decision was taken.
Okay, Colonel is back online. You were talking about your opinion as regards the removal of roadblocks by the president.
Yes, I guess you got a greater part of the discussion for the issues I raised under the roadblock thing.
Of course.
I was talking about the peculiarities of certain states in terms of the differentials we have by virtue of the challenges, security challenges we have in the various regions of states. Roadblock removal thing cannot just be a blanket thing. And I guess Mr. President even mentioned that when he said essential duty areas, you know. And so it's now left for the military leadership to look downwards and pick out roadblocks that are not of essential utility or value to them and remove such, you know, and then leave the very essential ones that will play their role. And you agree with me in places like Abia and Anambra and so on, where we have kidnappings, you know, ongoing. Roadblocks will really serve of a bit of a utility value compared to certain parts of north where it might not really serve such purpose. In Jos, I had, I think, is it the governor who was on telly last night or night before, you know, making a point for the roadblocks to be brought back.
That's right.
I think they have a peculiar case too. You know, all this, the military leadership in all these areas should be able to team up with the political leadership, and then they will come out with what they need and what they don't need. It is important to bear in mind that part of the reasons for this removal of roadblocks is that, look, we have a manpower problem at the forward lines. I've been saying it. The military is understaffed manpower-wise. So it is important we are able to mobilize enough hands to move forward and assist with what is happening. And that is why there is a need for a serious manpower recruitment drive. The military by now should be recruiting. I don't see why we cannot maintain an army of a million strength. I don't see why. Is it that we lack the money to pay for their recurrence or what? Yeah.
It's all right, Colonel. Thank you very much for finding time to join us on the show today. We hope that when you're back in time, you also join us so we can discuss exhaustively and extensively on these issues.
Thank you very much, Mr. You're welcome.
You're welcome, sir. It's all right. Let's get back to all these issues. There seems to be a political and religious dimension to all of these. You heard him talk about a ban on hijabs. And that sounds like almost a no-go area in northern Nigeria. How feasible is that?
I must say the colonel is very passionate about the fight against insurgency. But then you've got to understand the peculiarities of these areas. The people that you're trying to protect have a strong, entrenched religious and traditional understanding. You can't take that away from them. The hijab for those in northern Nigeria is seen as a lifestyle. There are certain things that you don't tamper with. That is one of such. In trying to protect these people, you must also be careful not to anger them as well, because you could spark public outrage by that singular step of banning hijabs. Will it in any way aid the army's fight against insurgency? Yes, a bit. But now the blowback is what government has got to consider. Is it something that is worth the blowback? No, I do not agree.
But then you also begin to look at how to bridge the gap, because recently the Amnesty International also brought out a very damning report that seemed to have shown the other side of the war against insurgency. But there are two extremes to it. Of course, on one hand, some are saying, oh, this is a fundamental violation, violation of people's human rights. But then you also begin to look at how unconventional the war against insurgency can be. The fact that you are not fighting against a uniformed soldier, it looks like a civilian is probably hiding the explosives, underneath his hijab. The recent attack in Kaduna State, there are reports that the suicide bomber was carrying a baby at her back, before that particular bomb was exploded. So you're looking at how exactly do you see us fighting this war without actually stepping on toes?
Now, the Nigerian security apparatus has got to improve, and I mean massively improve, in the area of intelligence gathering. There is no way that we will fight this war successfully without investing heavily in intelligence gathering. Every country has peculiar issues that they're dealing with, but if countries are going to survive or succeed in those wars, it all boils down to the ability to gather intelligence. These people who are members of Boko Haram, who are members of this insurgency, are regular, everyday people. If the Nigerian military invests its time rather in intelligence gathering, you can pinpoint who and when these attacks are going to be carried out. The Nigerian military has become like an emergency response system. I can't remember the last time I heard of an averted bomb blast, where there was supposed to be a bomb blast and the military stepped in and that was averted. What we hear most times is news of this blast having gone off, and then we see military personnel on ground.
You're saying we're not being proactive?
Yes, they become like a search and rescue part in the Nigerian military. They've become like first responders in case of emergencies, which should necessarily not be the case. They shouldn't be 10 steps behind the insurgency. That's what intelligence does for you. It puts you 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. As they are thinking it before they act it, you're there, to forestall all of this. There is no gainsaying that we cannot win this war on insurgency without a much improved investment on intelligence gathering.
The political dimension will be the point where the colonel is asking for a change in the leadership of the army, governmental structure the way it is. Probably he's been looking forward to some names haven't changed. It looks as if it's the same people who have been managing the affairs of the military while the ex-president was there, who are still there now. Would you attribute that to the same kind of slow pace with which government is being run now, because ministers are even yet to be appointed?
No, I wouldn't. These people are trained in this act. Yes, of course, they might not be operating at full capacity, but I think the president and the presidency at large has given room for these people to show that, okay, maybe it's not the problem with the Nigerian army, maybe it's the problem with the government at the time. So we've had barely 2 months of them adjusting to this new leadership, and let's see how well they do. It will not make any sense for the president to just come on board and then fire all the service chiefs and reappoint some new people without a clear-cut giving direction on how this war should be fought.
Okay.
So he has to table his demands and say, okay, this is what I want you guys to do, and let's see how well you do. And if any of them is found wanting, then they can be replaced.
Let's quickly open the phone lines for our teaming viewership. If you're watching the show this morning from anywhere in Nigeria and outside, you can be a part and let's have your opinion on the renewed suicide attacks and in your opinion, the way forward for our dear country, Nigeria. The phone line is on your screen. Now all you need to do is put a call across as soon as your call is acknowledged. Of course, I need you to turn down the volume of your TV set, and as soon as the call is acknowledged, you can fire on, so to speak. Now, let's touch on all of these issues. We're looking at what they have described as the snail pace movement of Mr. President, and much of this accusation has been about him reeling out certain names who are going to be in charge of certain offices, and then you see the colonel also highlighting that for security in Nigeria. It can't be a one-man moped. That's what the average Nigerian is saying. If we're going to have a new direction in different sector of the economy or in different arms of government, we should also see new names emerging by now.
Yes, we should. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. But you must understand that the past administration had messed up this country so very, very badly that it comes to a point where there needs to be house cleaning. First of all, you bring in new names and the house is still messed up. Most definitely, they're going to have their hands soiled, first of all, before they have an opportunity to act. So I think what the president is trying to do is to set a platform where once these people come on board, they can hit the ground running. It might appear slow paced to the average Nigerian, but once he's done, he and his team are done with their house cleaning, I believe sincerely that once these ministers and other political appointees are appointed, they would not have to go over this process of house cleaning again, because you have a minister of finance. The second day that the Buhari administration came into power, they will still have to do a lot of house cleaning, which the president and his team seems to be doing for them right now. So when these people come on board, they can just get straight down to doing the work. So that's my opinion. I think Nigerians should anticipate that this government is going to deliver. You know, like the saying goes, slow and steady is the race.
It's all right. Let's get back to Boko Haram. Of course, you recall that there's been a name that has been predominant in all the YouTube videos we've gotten, Abubakar Shekau, and several times the federal government had claimed that he's been shot at, he's been killed. Of course, probably this is the first time we can have that a little bit confirmed, because in the new video released by Boko Haram, there seemed to be a different person there who looked more coordinated, you know, and not as evasive as Abubakar was. But then there are also people who are saying at this point that if Shekau has truly been killed and we still have Boko Haram remaining as a united force, you know, having coordinated attacks across the country, that probably it's about time to also look at the relevance of that statement that they were going to join ISIS in their fight, you know, against the government in Nigeria.
Nifemi, let me quickly take your mind back to September 11, 2001. That was the day the world noticed the group Al-Qaeda, now led by the now late Osama bin Laden. America took it upon themselves to make it impossible for Osama bin Laden to operate. How did they do this? They effectively utilized the media. Osama bin Laden did not attack Nigeria, but the average market woman in Nigeria knows what Osama bin Laden looks like. So Osama bin Laden had walked past Oshodi after September 11. He would have been recognized. You know, right now the average Nigerian doesn't even know what Abubakar Shekau looks like. That for me is insincerity on the part of government. The Jonathan government had fought Shekau for 6 years. I mean 6 years. 365 times 6. And if you are not a media person or you are not interested in the issues that involve Nigeria, you just might not even know what Shekau looks like. It means he can walk past on your street and you wouldn't even raise an eyebrow. How then do you fight something or someone that you cannot see? Has Abubakar Shekau been killed? I don't believe so. Why don't I believe? Because there's no way you cut off the head of a snake and it remains the same. Boko Haram is still discoordinated because I believe sincerely that the man behind Boko Haram, Abubakar Shekau, is still firing on.
Well, the president has a scheduled meeting with the United States President Barack Obama later this month, and many people are also beginning to talk about the role of the international community. This is not the first time we've had them promised, especially immediately after the abduction of the Chibok girls. There were lots of global interest in Nigeria as well as many international promises. What do we expect from that meeting between Buhari and Obama?
I think the international community had been a bit apprehensive in helping Nigeria because they were not sure of the direction of the leadership at the time. But right now they've seen a president who has gone all out to declare war on insurgency, and America and the rest of the world is interested now because, like you rightly noted, Boko Haram has sworn allegiance to ISIS. That makes it no longer a Nigerian problem, but not even a regional African problem, but a worldwide problem. It means ISIS is going to go in strength. So
just a minute. Let me check out this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Kem from Ghana.
I could hear Ghana, but I need you to turn down
I'm
the...
from Ghana.
I didn't get that.
I'm Ken from Ghana.
Ken from Ghana. It's better now. Please go ahead with your contribution.
I just want to, I just want the Lord about say something that it should be know that Shaka was killed. Okay, what picture did they show to us? That well, they will show another picture that somebody is talking now, but we don't know that it's not Shaka again. But he sees that Shaka has not been killed. Okay, who else has been killed?
Okay. I want to believe that you made your point there. When you call it in, endeavor to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can do without the feedback distortion. Ken from Ghana seemed to disagree with you on the status of Shekau.
Let me just quickly address that. When Osama bin Laden was killed by America, the American elite forces, it was not a rumor. We knew for certain. DNA test was conducted. The body was identified. Now, we should not just take Nigerians on a jolly ride and say, how many times has the government said Abubakar Shekau has been killed? And then he comes out and says he's not been killed. Okay, because Boko Haram released a video, one video, and Abubakar Shekau is not in that video. Is that enough for us to assume that he's been killed? No. I completely want to disagree. What if he shows up tomorrow and the person who did show in that video did not declare himself as the new leader of Boko Haram? This is where insurgency fights. If the leader...
Hello?
Let me take this call, Ahmed. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Anichebe from Benue State.
Anichebe from Benue State. Can you speak louder?
Anichebe from Benue State.
All right, please go ahead now with your contribution.
Okay, I strongly disagree with the gentleman in the studio here over, what he described, the state of Nigeria before Buhari took over. The way he described it, look as if the government of the last administration did not achieve anything at all. The fight against the insurgency or the state of the nation before Buhari took over. We were in this country and we knew that we knew the challenges that confronted the government. And we knew how they were trying to combat these challenges. So coming now to punish the image of the last administration that they couldn't achieve anything, in fact that they left the state of Nigeria in a sorry state, is very, very, is very sad. I am very sad hearing that from somebody who I think is very learned and who knows what the country is all about. Aside that,
I think coming to the issue that people are treating concerning the way forward about the attack, I think what the colonel says, I think I agree with him that that since the insurgents have changed tactics, and the people there now are still living with their old tactics. They should change hands. They should bring in new people, fresh people to handle the affairs of the army. I think that way the president might make progress, because if the president achieves, if the army achieves, it is the president that people will call them, that will be giving credit. And if the army did not achieve, it is still the president that will be giving those names that he did not achieve. So I think we should take a proactive measure now in trying to change the hands in the Nigerian army. Thank you.
Anichebe, thank you very much for your contribution from Benue State. Probably is trying to say that Nigeria as a country seemed to fare better towards the latter end of the Jonathan administration as regards the ongoing war against insurgency. Do you agree with him on that?
Yes, I do. Let me quickly correct a notion. I never said that the past administration didn't achieve anything. We all were in this country, and we saw the massive movement against insurgency in the last 6 weeks, cumulative to the elections. We all saw that, and of course, Nigerians praised the Jonathan-led administration for that. I was very thankful, because at that point, Nigerians' lives were not being lost in this country anymore. And I believe that that achievement from the Jonathan government is what has given birth to what we have right now. That insurgency no longer control territories in this country. All those territories are taken from them. So they've had to change their tactics. But where I do not agree with him slightly is in the change of those at the helms of affairs in the military. The present government had directed that the defense headquarters be moved, from Abuja to Maiduguri. I think that was an indication that President Buhari was willing to give those at the helms of affairs of the military a chance to prove their worth. And this is what everybody should do. You can't take over an organization and just decide to dispense of all the staff. You've got to give everybody an opportunity to, okay, let me see what you can do. And if your vision for the organization is not in line with what you're doing, then they can be replaced. I have no doubt in my mind that there will be replacements, because we need fresh ideas. That's true. But should he have come in the first 2-3 days of his administration and changed the whole face of the Nigerian army? No, I don't think that would have been the way to go. I don't think so.
At such a time like this, many people are also beginning to look at the role, beyond what the expectation of the government is, the role that you and I might have to play, because, we've never actually seen the Aso Rock bombed or the state house of any state government, attacked by Boko Haram. Would you say that Nigerian military has gotten enough support, call it moral support, cooperation? We keep talking about the need for intelligence, intelligence gathering. Have we gotten enough community support in this ongoing war?
No, categorically, I must say that. And the reason for that is not far-fetched at all. The average Nigerian does not feel comfortable talking to a military personnel. I have information right now. I go to a military post and say, something I need to tell you. What's the assurance that I don't get bumped into the car, into one of the cars, and taken to one of their barracks and tortured, So the military over time had misrepresented itself. Nigerians see the military right now as a source of fear, which should not be. Most times in other countries around the world, when you're in the presence of the military, you should feel safest. But right now in this country, that's not the case. If you're on the road and you see a roadblock by members of Nigerian military, the first thing that comes to your mind is that apprehension that, okay, what have I done? You understand? So that alone shunts that process of intelligence gathering. You understand? But we're at the point now where we have to buy intelligence. Literally buy intelligence. Like, I don't mean exchange of cash, where the military has got to leverage on its good works in those communities, to call these people along and then bring them together and give them a direct show of trust that we're here to protect you and not to harm you. They need to build that bridge of trust so that these people feel comfortable to come to them with information and be guaranteed that when they provide this information, they themselves and their families will be protected. Because that's one thing that I've noticed in other countries. There's something called witness protection, which we don't seem to have in Nigeria. I come forward with an information that can be damning, and I give it to you, and the next day, the insurgents are in my house. They've killed my family. Nobody else will want to do that the next time. So we've got to have an effective system of protecting the informants that come to the Nigerian military.
We'll get back to the phone lines very shortly to take 1 or 2 calls on the show this morning. Don't forget, when you call in, all you need to do for me is turn down the volume of your TV set so I can hear you very, very clearly. Hello, good morning. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Rashid from Gabon.
Rashid from Gabon.
Yeah.
How's Gabon this morning? What part of Gabon are you calling from?
Hello?
What part of Gabon are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Brazil, precisely the capital.
All right, please go ahead with your contribution.
Our contribution for this issue that people are having this morning is that when this insecurity issue, when it happens in other countries, they organize, they find this thing unique, in a unique way. When you look at when we had the problem of Ebola in Nigeria, we know all of us know how we treated it. All everywhere that people go to work, school, and services, they mounted the security issue. Wash hands and so forth. But now, when it comes to this Boko Haram issue, we used to blame it on people. We used to blame it on tribes. We used to blame on people. It is not fair. What we have to do is, when we have a bomb blast in Abuja, and I don't know,
the Yanyan bomb blast.
It repeated the second time. What was the security matter? Why did it happen the first time? They have to put these measures so that it will not happen again. They go to churches, they go to mosques, they go all those places. What is the security put in place in all those areas so that it will not happen again? This is social government. Somebody comes to you must know that what the person is having. Before it gets to the church or gets to the mosque or it gets to a public place. Not only that, we always blame it, we want security, but we always blame it on the military, we blame it on the police. But what are we doing ourselves to secure our areas? Anybody who goes to church, it is true, this is the role that I'm taking. You must know the person who comes in, then the person goes out.
It's all right, Rashid. Thank you very much for your contribution from Brazil in Gabon, quite a distance. But I think I've heard quite a number of people also suggest that the same approach that Nigeria put into fighting Ebola, if we can also reproduce such approach, then we might get some success across board. Do you buy that idea?
Yes, I do. But I must state categorically that it's not fighting an insurgency is different from fighting an epidemic. When you have an epidemic, you can have a quarantine zone, and you say, okay, these are the steps to take. People, you identify the symptoms of this epidemic. Let's use Ebola, like the last caller said. Symptoms. Okay, once you feel feverish and you get to the hospital, the first thing they test you for in those times was to be sure if it wasn't Ebola. If it was Ebola, then the precautions were taken. But that's not the case anymore. What we're dealing with insurgency that has the face to metamorphose itself. You know, like I rightly said, the Johnson administration succeeded in claiming territories back from Boko Haram. right now what we see is Boko Haram not trying to take over territories. They're just trying to, like the colonel said, a man drowning, looking to splash as much water as it can. You know, so it's difficult to deal with something that you don't even know how it's going to fight. You understand? It's not as easy to deal with insurgency as it is to deal with an epidemic. If you're fighting a coordinated military war, then you can develop tactics and strategies. Okay, let's do this. But this is insurgency. You know, you go this way today and then they go this way the next day. So it's a bit dicey.
Let's take one more call on the show this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, I'm Akpata calling from Ilorin.
From what?
Hello?
Akpata, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ilorin.
Ilorin, please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Ilorin, Kwara State.
I got that, Akpata. Turn down the volume of your TV set and go ahead with your contribution.
Hello? Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Akpata.
Well, what I wanted to say about the security of Nigerians is the security of Nigerians. When things happen, they will take proactive measures. But as time goes on, they will relent.
Okay. I'm afraid that you have to try that again probably next time on the show. When you call in, just turn down the volume of your TV set so we can stop being distracted by the feedback mechanism. Well, of course, everyone is referring to the fire brigade approach, the fact that the moment an attack happens, that's when you hear the IG talking about a stop and search operation. Of course, the Kaduna State Governor also recently talked about banning street hawking. They talked about beggars being taken away. These are normal things that could have been done on a normal day. Do we need the leadership need Boko Haram to bomb before we know that we need to take beggars away from the street and of course restrict street hawking that has become a norm in this part of the world?
Nifemi, Nigeria as a country has its peculiarities. Northern Nigeria, to be specific. You need to go to Katsina or to Sokoto on a Friday to understand the magnitude of this problem. You know, you are in Northern Nigeria on a Friday afternoon and it's Juma, and then that's when you really, the picture really comes down in your mind of how huge that challenge can be for government of eradicating beggars and street hawkers from the streets.
It's more like a tradition?
Yes, the people have lived like that for years. Now, I'm sorry, but I think that leadership in this country has been very selfish in taking decisions. The reason why I said that is because you come on board now and then you take these beggars off the street. You take street hawking off the street. And then you're thinking about re-election in 2019. That plays at the back of your mind, and then you want to tread more carefully. You understand? We've seen governors who took Okadas off the street, and then it ended up almost costing them re-election and stuff like that. So these people too, I be too calculative in taking decisions because they are considering their own long-term plan. You understand? So that can be. Let me just quickly say that the colonel mentioned something about negotiating with Boko Haram. I think that would be a step in the wrong direction for government. Why do I say this? You're going to negotiate with somebody who has something that they're fighting for. You know, if people feel marginalized, you can negotiate with them. If people feel government has been unfair to them or their rights have been trampled upon, you can negotiate with them. I have studied the Boko Haram menace for close to 5 or 6 years now. I still cannot find somebody who can pinpoint to me exactly what the Boko Haram insurgency is about. How do you negotiate with that?
We're going to talk about that in subsequent shows. Thank you very much for finding time to join us today. I've been speaking with AHMED TIJANI Mustafa, public affairs analyst, who joined us on Core Digest today. Fem additional spokesperson for Mr. President talked about negotiating from an advantaged position. I'm wondering the kind of negotiation we're going to have with a group that has declared its affiliation with ISIS. Probably President Buhari will be talking to Obama on that issue later on this month. That wraps it on the show today. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow with another exciting edition. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, thanks for being there.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.